Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my channel and happy Thursday to you. It's Alicia and I am here in the Holy Land about to announce our next challenge and our final challenge here in the Holy Land. It's our final one, folks. I say that, this ending is a little bittersweet. I've had a wonderful time here. It's been amazing. And I'll be happy to go home. We're always happy to go home, which is a great feeling. But I am going to miss it here. And I'm going to miss having this experience with you. But before we get to the challenge, let me do a quick thank you. Miss Jellybean came in yesterday and she made the most generous offer. I'm still so moved. So she makes all sorts of expert wonderfulness, right? She doesn't just do Shabby, guys. If you've taken a look at her recent video for Halloween, she does some Shabby Halloween too, which just cracked me up. And it's actually really cute. I think Shabby lends itself to Halloween. I'm starting to realize that. But she does clean, precise creating with this too, which is crazy. Like Sabrina, Miss Jellybean can pretty much do anything, I think. And it's really inspiring to watch her channel. Well, lo and behold, she sends me this little message yesterday. Hey, check your email, check your email. So of course I checked my email. And there is this amazing email from her, full of photos, offering me basically some of her Halloween creations to better Kathy's spooky house. And I was really moved, guys. These creations are magical. Jellybean can just about alter anything, and she can create anything, often without a die cutter. That's what's so inspiring. That this is a true maker, folks, because I need a die cutter. When I first started, I was free cutting, and we know I can't cut. And Lily was like, you're going to need a die cutter. And she was right, because I'm not a clean cutter, and I find it, I'm getting better. Also, it's partially, I'm going to tell you this, folks, for those of you just learning, scissors matter. I didn't think it mattered. I was using my dollar store scissors. No, it matters. You need a precision blade because that does make a difference. We don't talk about these sorts of things too often on these channels, and we probably should because they're really helpful hints. I was using my dollar store scissors, and I don't know, they were probably dull. They didn't have a nice fine tip. So when I was trying to do I'll show you. When I was trying to do a cut apart like this, oh, it was jagged, and every time I tried to fix it, it was like a bad haircut. I kept cutting away too much. When I got better scissors at the Hobby Lobby sale, I got better. And I realized it's kind of like the glue. What you use matters. And sometimes you don't think so. Look, I'm frugal, you know this, right? So to put out money for things like art glitter glue, I know Kathy didn't love it because somehow I think it bowed her book. Just again, Kathy, you know what I do if that's starting to happen? I put it between book pages, or I put the project between something heavy and it flattens it back out. The reason most of us love our glitter glue is because when we lay paper down, it doesn't wrinkle. So you're not scraping with the bone folder, right, to get the wrinkles out. It lays flat. That said, I also have said many times, I like what Kathy likes also. I like the Tombow Mono. It's a great glue. It's a fantastic glue, and it isn't $14 for a thing this size. And that's my second go-to glue. And the nice thing about Tombow is that you can move it around for a bit longer. Art glitter glue, you got to know where you're putting things, folks. It dries super quick. That's why I love it, is because it dries super quick. But you got to know where you're putting things. If you're unsure, use the Tombow. Trust me, use the Tombow. It gives you that time for play. But anyway, getting back to this whole idea of why I needed a die cutter is I can't cut straight. I've told you that since kindergarten I couldn't cut straight. I was like the kid who failed cutting. I'm not kidding. So I've had to work really hard at it, but the scissors I use do make a difference. They do. How did I get on this tangent? Oh, Jellybean. Okay. So Jellybean can cut anything herself. She made these impeccable bows without a die cutter, and they look like they were professionally created. She does not have my cutting challenges. So can you imagine that she emailed me all of these fabulous pieces and was like, which ones do you need? What would help you? What about this one? What about this one? I was so moved because that was a super generous, kind contribution, and I was really touched by it. I wasn't surprised, I was touched. Jellybean is super community oriented, and so I just was very heartfelt thanks for Jellybean because it's going to make my spooky house so much better. I'm trying to create this fun thing that's for Kathy, but also for her boys, and they can play with. And trust me, Jellybean, I'm going to give you the credit when we do the swap, but your work is going to make it a lot better, a lot better. And Jellybean even offered me some tips for my struggles with Sabrina's house, and I'm grateful for that. Every time I get a tip from an expert maker, I'm like, woohoo, because I need to figure these things out. I am struggling to vintage up Sabrina's house in the right way, and Jellybean came in, she's like, hey, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you tried this? Super helpful. When we are generous enough to give tips to our friends on here, I got to tell you, I'm the first to be so grateful. Every time, like, look at Joanne the Happy Meal Stampers. Thanks to her, I'm so in love with triple thick. Right now, I use it on so many things. Every time we give this advice to one another, we help each other. So, art glitter glue, expensive. And Kathy struggled with it. It did bow a bit in her project. So we all love the Tombow Mono also. And that's a lot less expensive, folks. There's our tip for today. All right, back to our challenge now that I've properly thanked Jellybean for swooping in and making that spooky house so much better. Let's take a look at it. Why am I holding up all these things? Ha-ha. So I listened to you this month, and there are a few things that you mentioned. One is that many of you wish that you could have done the mini record challenge that is about to end at the end of this month. And I would have happily opened this up to everyone, except I only had a certain number of records, right? And that's all I had, so I couldn't open it up. But many of you said, oh, I want to get in on that. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. Okay, so I listened and I made a note. So one part was that I realized that you guys want to work with ephemera, and that's also really inexpensive to mail because it's one piece, right? So I thought, oh, that's good. I made a note of that. The other thing you guys talked about a lot this month was tags. So many of you like making tags. Look, just this week, Judy, my scrapbook loft, was like, I love me some tags. And I'm like, I bet you do. I've seen her work and her books, her amazing books. If you haven't been, by the way, to my scrapbook loft's Etsy shop, go take a look at it. She makes these stunning books. She finally showed us one on here, right? She finally showed us one. But she makes fantastic, fantastic books. Really beautifully done. And she always puts some tags in there because she likes to make tags. So she's not alone. Carmen loves to make tags. So many of you this month were like, I love tags. Well, I listened and I wrote that down. And then I was thinking about some of the higher level challenges like Tamika's Scrap the World and what you need to know how to do in order to participate. Whether it's Ida, made new to create, that's Lisa, made to create. Miss Ida's tea parties, you have to be able to do quite a few things. And one of them is an altered treat bag. One of these babies. Or another kind. It can be a fabric one too, folks. It doesn't have to be paper. We are paper crafters, but it could also be fabric or felt or all different materialities, right? We're makers, so we can use all different things. It could be denim. How cool would it be to get a denim treat bag? I think that'd be cool. But you have to be able to sew for that. Some of us can't sew. So, all right. So I was thinking part of the use of challenges is we practice things to get better so we can participate in bigger things, like a Tamika Scrap the World, right? Okay. So an altered treat bag is something that's often asked for. So you have to know how to do that. So here's what our new challenge is. You must make one of the following. One. Either, she says, grabbing for her supplies, an altered piece of ephemera. And by that I mean this one's not finished yet. This is right now just being thicked up on cardstock. As you can see, it's super thick. And I've made it into a shaker. But I haven't dressed it yet. I still need to put trim and some other things to make it my own. So by altered piece of ephemera, I don't just mean that you make a cut apart or you cut out an image and then make it a shaker and it's done. No, I want you to make it your own. I want you to personalize it. I want you to make this ephemera really unique and special so that it no longer looks like store-bought ephemera. That's what Crafty Michelle has done. It's what Tree did, Craft On. It's what all of our entrants have done, actually. All of the people doing the record challenge have made their records so unique. Look at Kathy's. I mean, no one of those ephemeras looks the same. It's remarkable, and that was the whole point of the challenge. So I want you to make a piece of altered ephemera that suddenly doesn't look store-bought or cut out of a paper pad or wherever you get it. You can also draw one out. I'm okay with handmade ephemera. I think that's really magical to get handmade ephemera. So those of you who are like me, a little artsy, messy, crafty, you might want to hand make yours, and that's fine too. Miss Betty Waldick often hand draws out things and cuts it beautifully. Remember that swan pop-up shadow box she made me? Oh yes, that was magnificent. So Miss Betty might hand draw hers, and that's perfectly fine. The whole point is that it doesn't look like something created by a machine or something store-bought, that you make it your own somehow. That's the altered ephemera. Or you can make a shaped tag. What is a shaped tag, you ask? Well, it's any tag that is cut out in its shape. So, for instance, this is the beginning of a shaped tag. Now, I wouldn't send this into the challenge because once you cut it out, it's still just a piece of ephemera. You have to make it into a shaped tag. So meaning you might want to put, let's say I might make this into a shaker. I might put a holographic paper on it, make it into a shaker, punch a hole in, put some ribbon through, put a sentiment on it. Then it becomes a shaped tag. So a shape tag is any tag in a shape of something. So do you remember that beautiful teacup tag Carmen made for me? That's a very popular shape tag, is a teacup. A lot of shabby makers like it, but lots of people like it. I love it. So it's cutting out something in its shape and converting it into a tag. So again, cutting it out just on its own isn't enough. You actually have to make it into something special and personalized. So again, I would cover this with holographic paper, turn it into a shaker, put a sentiment on it, attach a ribbon. That would be a shape tag. For this, you can use cut-aparts from any paper pad. You can cut out things from a magazine. You can hand draw it. You can use ephemera like this. It's entirely open and up to you. Whatever suits you creatively, that's what I want you to do. So, a shape tag. Or you can do an altered treat bag, which means taking an existing treat bag, kind of like the ones we all haul at the Dollar Tree. You know, those nice paper treat bags that you get there with all the flowers on them? Okay. Any paper sack or any fabric sack. You can make a sack out of fabric too. That's super cool. Or you can make it out of acetate or vinyl. You know, any material is fine. Basically, you take a bag, a gift bag, a goodie bag, and you dress it up and make it your own. That's it. You dress it up and make it your own. You saw me make them for Danielle. I've made them using Sunny Days. I made those vintagey ones that you all helped me with so that they got better. I made some shabby. I made some vintage. You know, take this bag, and just like with the ephemera and just like with the shape tag, all I want is that it becomes your own so that it doesn't look like store-bought anymore. What you do with it is up to you. So, quick review. For this challenge, you can either make an altered piece of ephemera, or you can make a shaped tag, or you can make an altered treat bag. Any one of those three, right? And all three are inexpensive to mail. That's why I also chose them. One, you wanted them, and two, they're inexpensive to mail. Okay, so what are the categories? Here we go. I heard you, crews. So we're going to have a newbie category, just like we did with the first flat mail challenge. So there's a category for newbies. There's a category for shabby vintage. Shabby/vintage. If you're a shabby maker or a vintage maker or a vintage inspired maker, for instance, my scrapbook loft does all sorts of creativity, but some of her projects are very vintagey. So maybe she wants to enter the vintage category. All right, there's a category for what I call the Maggie Holmes All Heart Funkiness. Yep, Maggie Holmes All Heart Funkiness. So you know who you are. You know, Paige Evans, Maggie Holmes, All Heart, you know, that kind of, like, think Paper Treasury, think Crafting with Liller, think Tony Craft Purge, that kind of style. Think Alicia Love Letter Generation. If you're in that zone, yay. You know, by all means, send in a piece. And there's going to be an artsy, creative, mixed media, blah, blah category. And that basically is someone like me who really breaks all the rules, mixes all sorts of supplies, probably is really inspired by mixed media. Lisa Made New to Create is also one of these people, by the way. Oh yes, and I know you like to make tags. I know you do, girlfriend. So a mixed media, crazy, artsy kind of category. And then there's a general category for everybody else who doesn't feel that they want to submit to any of those categories. So a newbie category, a shabby vintage category, a Maggie Holmes All Heart Funky category, a general category, and an artsy mixed media kind of creative category. Five ways, folks, 5 categories. And there's room for everybody in these. There will be a prize for each category. So for the newbie, the shabby vintage, the Maggie Holmes Funky, the general, and the artsy, there will be a prize for each one. And there's going to be one draw for a big prize, and it's going to be a random draw for everybody. So everyone who submits either a altered piece of ephemera, a shape tag, an altered piece of ephemera, or a treat bag will be entered in the general draw for the large prize. So what is this large prize? It's a $50 card to a store of your choice or to anywhere online, because I want to make this open to international participants. So $50 to a place of your choice or into your PayPal account, either one, your choice. So that's the first prize for the random drawing. What about each of the categories? Well, each one's going to get a different prize pack. So for the newbie category, I'm going to do one of my newbie prize packs from AliExpress, which is a great prize pack of a mixture of all different supplies that give newbies a really good start on their way. Things like enamel dots and ephemera and some vellum and so forth. It's a great pack. It's a great pack. A lot of it comes from KS Craft. It's really terrific. Some tulle, that sort of thing that gets you started. For the Shabby, Maggie, Holmes, and Artsy categories, you have a choice of either a $25 gift card or it goes into your PayPal account. Your choice. Completely your choice. So $25 for each of those categories. And how am I going to choose those? That's going to be tough. I know most people on here prefer a random draw, and that's because it seems really fair to everybody. And that's why our big prize is a random drawing. But for each of these categories, I really, really want to reward ingenuity and creativity and personalization. So for the subcategories, I'm going to choose differently. You're going to get 5 extra points. 5. That's a lot. 5 extra points if you do a winter or fall themed project. So what does that mean? Well, for a shape tag, it could be something as simple as an autumn leaf, right? It could be a jack-o'-lantern. It could be a candy cane. It could be a snowman. It could be a cup of hot cocoa. As long as it's your own and it's fall or winter themed, that's wide open. It could be an ice skate. Ooh, think of a glittery ice skate. So many potential opportunities there. I was going crazy thinking about it this morning, like all the great things you'll make, especially like those people that are super inventive. I cannot wait to see what you come up with. All right, so 5 extra points if it's fall or winter themed, right? What are the other extra points for? Well, there's going to be 5 extra points for doing a VR. Now, it's not because I want to promote the channel. It's because a lot of people lately have been saying that they're not launching their channel because they're still nervous about making videos. Crafty Pen Pal Mom is one of those. She's been crafting a long time and she's still nervous to launch her channel. And one thing I know for sure is that the more you do these videos, the easier they get. I promise you. By the time you've done your 10th one, you stop worrying about it. You're less self-aware and self-conscious. So 5 extra points if you do a VR. And that gives you practice. And the more practice you have on camera, the easier it'll be for you to have a channel. Candy, make sure you practice. Because this helps folks. When we're doing swapping, when we're doing contest submissions, you got to be able to be on camera for a lot of these challenges. Not for everyone. Usually, I don't even have it as a component. But this time I'm doing it to make sure that people are practicing. It's important so that you get better at it. All right, so 5 extra points for VR. 5 extra points for if it's fall or winter themed. Are you ready? And 5 extra points if you step far out of your making zone. So for instance, if Jellybeans suddenly sent in some uber clean Maggie Holmes, she's getting 5 points. I don't think that's going to happen because she is super creative in her mind and whatever she sees, she's going to make. But I'm just saying if, for instance, Jellybeans submitted a super clean Maggie Holmes project, she would get 5 points because that's far out of her comfort zone. I'm familiar with most of your work, but let's say I get people who are not familiar. You have to put on the note what you usually make so that I know that you've stepped outside of your comfort zone. So if you say, I'm normally a Maggie Holmes precise maker and you give me super shabby or super vintage, okay, you're going to get 5 extra points. And the reason for that is I want to encourage people to try different styles because you learn every time you make. All right, quick review because this one's more complicated than usual, though it's not really that complicated. You have your choice, an altered piece of ephemera, or a shape tag, or an altered treat bag. It's entirely player's choice. You get to choose which out of these 3 you make and submit. It is our final Holy Mail challenge, which means you must have it in my hands before I leave. And that means I have to have it in my hands by the end of the 3rd week of August, which is really the end of August, the beginning of the final week of August. And that's because we're going to be leaving. To get it there, I suggest that you mail it no later than the end of the 1st week of August. Do not mail it later, folks, or it will not get here in time. And that gives you 3.5 weeks to make either an altered piece of ephemera, a shape tag, or an altered treat bag. And that's loads of time to do that, I think. Loads of time. The treat bag is probably the most complicated out of these 3. For those of you who are new, I'm just letting you know that this is probably the more difficult to do because you have to layer up stuff and alter it. And usually you put trim or paper, and it takes more altering. These 2 are simpler, so choose according to how long you need to make. If I were doing this challenge, because I take forever to make, I would do one of these 2, just because I'm slow. So you know your own speed. All right, so an altered tag, a shape tag, an altered piece of ephemera, or an altered treat bag, right? And the categories are newbie, shabby vintage, Maggie Holmes all heart funkiness, general, or artsy mixed media-esque. Those are the categories, and there will be a big prize drawing in general randomly, and then award prizes for each of those categories. You get 5 extra points for doing fall or winter themed projects, and you get 5 extra points for a VR, and you get 5 extra points for stepping out of your comfort zone and trying something new. I hope that's super clear. I'm going to leave all the instructions down below. And again, I'm so excited to do this. This is our last challenge in the Holy Land, which makes me both sad and also bittersweetly happy. Thank you all so much. I did hear you. I hear about your love of tags, and I hear that you really wanted to do the record challenge. So that's why we're doing this particular challenge. I can't thank all of you enough for your comments, for always giving me wonderful feedback, for giving me ideas of what we should do next.
It's 10 o'clock.
And there's our man. I thought I was going to get this done before the man, but no, there's the man. Well, isn't that a perfect way to end the day? It's always the man. The man is with us 24/7. All right, folks. Thanks so much for your congratulations to Lily. I so appreciate that you did that. I know she did too. I know she did too. We're so lucky when we have people that lead us on this path, right? And who show us how to get here, how to get to where we want to get to. And Lily certainly has done that for many of us. And aren't we ever lucky? Thank you again, Jellybean. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thanks to each and every one of you. I hope whatever you're doing today, that it is happy. I hope that your day progresses in a way that gives you like some peace, but also gives you some rest and maybe some inspiration. I'm in my jammies, which means it's a making day. I'm excited. Miss Sabrina is done our swap. I am not done our swap. I have a lot more making to do. So I'm back to work, folks. All right. Take care and have a wonderful day, and I'll be back on later. Bye for now.